Hey there, I'm Joe Carter. If you've ever popped the hood and thought, where do I even start? You're in good company. Around here, we take the mystery out of car repair, one fix at a time. Whether you're a beginner or just looking to sharpen your skills, there's something here for you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're into learning without the headaches. All right, that's enough from me. Let's get into it.
In order for the internal combustion engine to start working, you need to make its crankshaft rotate. Depending on the type of energy used to start the internal combustion engine, the device of the starter will be very different. The motor can be started in several ways: by the force of human muscles, electric motor, pneumatic starting unit. Since to start the car engine most often uses electric energy, we will not consider the other types of starting devices. We will consider only the principle of operation of the starter using battery energy. Types of starters and their components. All starters can be divided into two groups: without a gearbox, with a gearbox. The device of the starter belonging to the first and the second group, as is clear from the name, differs only in the presence or absence of a gearbox. So, what does an electric car starter consist of? Like any DC motor, it consists of a rotor, stator, and collector brush assembly. In addition, to transfer the rotation of the armature to the flywheel, it includes an overrunning clutch with a gear, bendix, and to turn on the rotation and the introduction of the bendix in the meshing with the flywheel crown retracting relay. A fork in the starter transmits force from the retractor relay to the bendix. The device of the car starter with a gearbox, as a rule, differs in that the stator is installed instead of the coils of electromagnets permanent magnets. Starter with permanent magnets in the stator differs from those equipped with electromagnets in that it consumes less current and develops less power. Such a starter necessarily needs a gearbox to increase torque. Such a device has both advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is the low current required to start the motor. The disadvantage is in a more complex, than the starter without a gearbox, design. The circuit diagram of any automobile starter is similar to that of a DC motor with the addition of a retractor relay circuit. The circuit diagram of the starter with permanent magnets in the stator is the same as for the starter unit with electromagnets. Therefore, they are interchangeable when manufactured for the same vehicle model. The principle of operation of the car starter: when the ignition switch is turned on in the start position, the starter relay supplies control voltage to the retractor relay, which brings the bendix gear into engagement with the flywheel crown and starts the starter rotation by supplying power to it. Turning the ignition key from the start position to any other position disconnects power to the starter relay from the retractor. The core return spring throws it out of the coil housing, and it moves the bendix out of engagement with the flywheel crown and cuts power. Since the second lead of the retaining coil is connected to the earth, the current through it is always flowing when the ignition key is in the start position. The second lead of the retracting coil is connected to the plus terminal of the starter, i.e., when the retracting relay is energized, it is also connected to ground through the stator and rotor coils. Once the retractors are triggered, it will energize the starter, and there will be a positive potential on both leads of the retract coil, which means the current through the retract coil will stop. Then only the retaining coil will work. By using two coils, a large core retraction force is achieved with a small holding current. Bearings: the rotor axis rotates in two copper graphite bushings, which are plain bearings. From their condition depends not only on the sound that the unit will produce during operation. If they are excessively worn, the rotor core plates will touch the stator magnets during operation. When there is no air gap between the rotor plates and the stator magnets, the starter is said to bashmakit. The energy loss is so great that the rotor can hardly rotate and is unable to turn the engine crankshaft. Losses are made up of mechanical energy losses due to strong retardation of the rotor by the stator and losses on the collector brush assembly, which increase due to transverse vibrations of the armature and deterioration of brush contact with the collector lamellae. Losses in the rotor steel increase even more strongly than those described. They become larger due to the shorting of the armature. plates, because of which eddy currents in the plates of the rotor core increase strongly. These processes lead to the fact that the current flowing through the windings mostly heats them without being converted into mechanical energy. This fault is corrected by replacing the bushings. Removal of worn bushings is usually not difficult. It is better to put instead of them unscrewed bushings. They should be hammered through a piece of wood, as they are very fragile. After installation, their inner surface should be machined with a reamer of appropriate diameter. The diameter of most of the rotor shafts of the starter rotors of passenger cars is about 12 mm. You will know more accurately by measuring the shaft after disassembly with a caliper. After reaming a little, grease the bushings from the inside with little and you can assemble the unit. Before installing the unit, do not forget to clean the terminals on the retractor relay and change the nut and washer fixing the power supply wire, because in the process of operation they get very hot and oxidize. In conclusion, the design of an automobile starter is a critical component that plays a vital role in the overall functionality of a vehicle. By understanding the intricate mechanisms involved, from the solenoid to the armature, we can appreciate how these elements work together to initiate the engine's operation. As technology continues to evolve, advancements in starter design will likely enhance efficiency and reliability, paving the way for more sustainable automotive solutions. Thank you for joining us in exploring this essential aspect of automotive engineering.